This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is
iOS or Android, download the app Liquor Split, and you got the NHL playoffs tonight. You got the NBA playoffs going on. So you need a little beer, a little wine, a little rum, a little elixir, maybe a little Edge energy drink, some snacks. You can get it all at Liquor Split. Tap that app, $2.99 flat fee, no hidden fees. That's it. How you feeling, my man, after a nice performance last night? Easy right for you last night.
Yeah, it feels weird, right? I'm not going to say it feels like the regular season because it doesn't, but it's almost like it's just a continuation of the regular season. It's just like what the Heat have been doing all year, just kind of taking care of business, and it's nothing spectacular. It's just what they do, balanced offensive attack. So, and honestly, like, it's a playoff series, but without Embiid, it loses a little bit, So,
Oh, yeah.
it's good that he has taken care of business here in the first two games, but now we'll see if the series will shift if Embiid returns, because that will change things dramatically.
Yeah, it's the negative story line for this series. It's all about where the hell is Harden and what's happened to him and all of that, and and listen, tonight, one of the things that you got to talk about with Huberdeau, Barkov, and Ekblad, this is a legacy moment for them.
Yeah.
If you're going to actually be those guys, you got to perform, right? Well, and I say that because the legacy of James Harden has kind of been what's happened right now. And it's not because of age and wear and tear. It's just, it always seems that in the big moments of his career, he hasn't ever played big. And once again, here goes a moment, and here's the Heat playing some defense on you, and you don't have the energy to fight it off.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell the pressure has definitely gotten to him, and he had 20 points and 9 assists. Not a bad stat line.
A great first half is what it was.
Yeah, and solid first half, but it's just without Embiid, they need him to be vintage James Harden to have a chance. 30 points, 12 assists, 5 threes. He just can't do it.
Right.
And some of that's the Heat's defense. The Heat has played really good defense on him. PJ Tucker, Victor Oladipo, they have so many defenders they can throw at him. They're treating him like Trae Young, and you could tell it's getting to him. But some of it's also, I mean, he's had some mismatches on the perimeter, whether it's Max Strus, which Strus is a solid defender, but still, if you're James Harden, you should be able to take advantage of that. And he can't get by him. He can't beat the one-on-one matchup anymore. And that's James Harden's game. I mean, that quick first step was everything for him.
Yeah,
he just has not been able to do that. You see him settle for step back contested threes. You see him not even try to get past the defender. He just gets off the ball and passes it to somebody else.
The energy's not there, dude. The energy's
just not there consistently. And to the Heat's credit, they've worn him out. I mean, they've tried to wear him out at least, and you can tell it's working. Picking him up full court, like I said, and really making him work for everything. I mean, he doesn't even try to get the inbounds pass anymore. He just basically waves the guy off and says, "This throw it to Maxey, throw it to Tobias." So it's the pressure has taken him out of his game, and it's made him burn some extra calories for sure. And you could tell it's getting to him.
Now, Anthony, young man, I want you to know, because I know that you're young, you're hitting the road, you hit all these strip clubs. You better learn from James Harden. 5-7 years from now, you're not going to be able to write at the same level if you keep hitting all those strip clubs. Just want you to know.
I'm gonna have to change my my habits once I get older.
Yeah. You gotta stay off of that.
Not sustainable.
I mean, but think about that now. And will they give him that contract?
Right, that's tough.
If you're Daryl Morey, how are you that irresponsible to? You have to sit down with him and say, James, I can't give you this contract. I'm sorry. It's just, you know what I mean? And he'll probably try to con you and say, oh, I'll get in shape next year and this and that. But you can't trust him because it's never been in his DNA to be that guy. He's never wanted to be that guy. So that's become the storyline. And that's in a way, that's kind of the sad part of it, because the Heat deserve a lot more attention because of what they're doing. But hey, man, at least I give them credit. Here's where, again, let's compare it to the team tonight. You know, Panthers have already put themselves in a disturbing hole that they don't need to be in against an inferior opponent.
Right.
Credit to the Heat. You're not putting yourself in that position right now against the Sixers. You've taken care of business.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's been the first two games and really the first two rounds so far. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. They were supposed to beat an 8th-seeded Atlanta Hawks team, especially without Clint Capella. Did it in 5 games. They're supposed to beat Philly at those first 2 games at home, without Embiid. Not a problem. It's just what this Heat team does. Like, they just do what they're supposed to do. They're solid. They're consistent. You have so many guys who can contribute. Somebody can have an off night like Jimmy in game 1, and Bam and Tyler pick up the slack for him. No Kyle Lowry. They're 4-0 in the games he's missed in the playoffs. It's just unbelievable. It doesn't matter, who's out. They just find a way to win. And again, this is what they've been doing all year. So it's not exactly surprising, but you still have to be impressed that it's continued in the playoffs with guys like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, now Victor Oladipo becoming an important player off the bench. It's just a credit to the Heat's developmental program and the way they kind of, I think, approach the regular season as not like to experiment with things, but you could tell that regular season was important. Those reps, those moments for these guys to have those, that experience with guys out, it's paying off now in the playoffs.
Oh, everything became a blessing.
Yeah.
All the injuries and everything, which, by the way, it's kind of what I told Ira that early in the season when it first happened at the beginning of the year. I said, Ira, it's actually a good thing. You get to play these young guys and find out if they can play and see if you can develop some depth. Well, guess what? You found out both. You found out that you have depth and they can play. And that's the other thing that's developed with this team is the amount of depth that they have, that a guy you gave $95 million to is no longer a factor on your team. Last night, 1 minute for Duncan Robinson. And it showed. Now, listen, I mean, hindsight is 20/20. But if we really look at it, Duncan Robinson is not really a Heat player. Let's be honest. Heat players aren't one-dimensional.
Right. He's not a two-way player. They just don't.
Yeah, no, you got to be able to do something else, dude. Or if not, even a Jason Capono, you just won't last long. They'll get rid of you because eventually they don't want you to be a liability somewhere else. And unfortunately, he's a liability in so many other places, not just one place. And so that's the problem. And this is why we're watching 29 minutes now of Oladipo last night. That's pretty amazing. And that's the developments of this team, that the depth has been the detriment to Duncan Robinson's career.
Yeah. I didn't expect him to be complete out of the rotation. And I still don't think that – I think there'll still be a moment for him in this playoff run. Whether they play Boston, Milwaukee, those defenses are so good. You're gonna need shooters against those defenses.
If you get to the West, if you get to the finals against the Suns or the Warriors, you're gonna need them.
You're gonna need that guy to create extra space for Jimmy and Bam. I mean, you could tell they're going defense first in this series. They're going as many two-way guys as possible, and it's working. Victor Oladipo getting in there, Caleb Martin getting in, playing minutes. 2 guys who could pick up James Harden. It doesn't always have to be PJ Tucker. Those 2 guys could also guard James Harden. And
Tyler has gotten better.
No, he's gotten better. He's gotten better. Yes, he has limitations physically. There's no doubt. There's no way around that. He's limited physically, defensively, but he's gonna be used in the right spots, and he's not gonna be a liability. So I was thinking about this yesterday after the game, comparing this team to the one that made the finals in the bubble. And there are a lot of similar components. Jimmy and Bam, obviously. Kyle and Goran. Goran was really good that run. Jay Crowder and PJ Tucker. But I think the difference is this team has more two-way players. Duncan was starting that entire run.
Deeper.
Kendrick Nunn. Yeah. I mean, different guys like that defensively, teams picked on those guys. And even Andre Iguodala, he was, veteran, but he wasn't a great offensive player. He was a little bit of a
No,
liability
he'd help
offensively.
you occasionally as a defender,
Yeah.
but not really offensively.
It was
He
always
wasn't
like,
really going to help out. And all the young guys were liabilities.
yeah.
Kendrick Nunn was a liability. Duncan's a liability. Who was the other young guy that they had? There was another guy that wasn't
Kendrick
very
Nunn?
good. No, Nunn, Duncan, and somebody else. Somebody else that they used that also was kind of a liability. But either way, yeah now the guy they don't play is the liability. Because Depot's not a liability, and Strus is not a liability, and Caleb's not a liability. And my God, Gabe Vincent, I love you, bro. Holy crap. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we were worried about a backup point guard at the beginning of the year. Right. Little did we know the development of Gabe Vincent was coming.
Yeah.
Bless that man.
2 years ago, this team had to pick and choose a lot between offense and defense. It was okay, do we throw our offensive lineup out there? Do we throw our defensive lineup out there? That's not as much the case this year. There's a lot of two-way guys, and I think that's the difference between the two teams, and you're seeing kind of that improvement so far in the playoffs.
It was nice to see Bam, at least again, aggressive, and I hope he stays that way. And although I got to tell you, the way they talked about it, Embiid after the game, it didn't sound like just now the lights stopped, not affecting him so much and all that. That doesn't sound like a guy that's going to be ready for Friday. And by the way, if Embiid's with the one good eye that he has, if he's actually watching James Harden, does he really want to return to this?
Yeah, no, we'll find out a little bit more today. I'm sure they won't definitively say he's playing or not today, of course not. Because they want to leave it open-ended. But we'll at least find out if he has a chance to play it. So that'll be interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if he played, because this is it, right? Like if you go down 3-0, you don't bring him back. You don't risk it if you're down 3-0, I think. So if he's gonna come back in the series, this is it. This is where he would come back.
Listen, you already screwed up down by 30 with 3 or 4 minutes left when he got injured. You were actually playing him at that point, which is pretty stupid, because I know the NBA has its runs, but you don't catch up from 30
with 4 minutes left.
You just don't do that, bro. I get it. If there's 9 minutes left and you're down by 30, miracles have happened, even with 9 minutes left. Okay. But a couple minutes left, you got to be smarter than that. And if you go out there and roll the only good thing that you have, well, Maxi's been pretty damn good. Yeah, but, with James Harden, it's just, I just, in the end, what is your upside if you're this team? They don't have enough. They don't have a bench. No. They don't have another superstar to really take the weight off of Embiid. And let's be quite honest, to expect Maxey to be a stud every night is also unfair to expect that young man at this stage to be that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's been a pleasant surprise, but to expect it from him is unfair too.
Yeah, and the shooting on this team is just not good. And sometimes it's as simple as that. I mean, they outscored the 54-42 in the paint. The Sixers shot 11 of 40 on non-paint shots. That's like basically 26, 27%. I mean, you could be get as complex as you want. Sometimes it's that simple. You got to make outside shots.
Yes.
When you make 11 shots outside the paint all game, that's just not enough, especially when you don't have Joel Embiid. So yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, they can get hot. The numbers could even out in Philly, and they maybe have a great shooting night and they win a game. That wouldn't be surprising, but I think it's pretty clear. This Heat team was, I think, a little bit better than Philly with Embiid, but without Embiid, they just don't have enough. They don't have enough. No, now, can they get one? And could they get one in Philadelphia just like Atlanta did? Yeah, they could without Embiid, but I just, if Embiid doesn't come back, this is not going past 5.
Yeah, I the only thing I disagree with you on is I don't think this Heat team will allow a slip up without Embiid. With Embiid, I can understand them losing one, but without Embiid, I just don't see this team beating them, man. They would have to come out and be, and obviously role players will feel better now in Philly in the next 2 games, but it would have to be one of those Rex Chapman against Michael Jordan nights where you're just unconscious and everybody's hitting shots. But Miami is so good defensively. I just don't, and they're so poor offensively. I just don't see that combination happening without Embiid overall. All right, when you look at what's happening on the other side to set up the Eastern Conference Finals, what are you watching after Milwaukee, snuck in that first one? They were happy pretty much to split now. So what are you seeing in Milwaukee?
It's going to be a long series. That's going to be a long series. And that's great for the Heat because, and if you're the Heat, you want to take advantage of that. Get this over in 4 or 5. Yes. Get another 4 or 5 days off. Let those teams beat up on each other. Maybe have a 2-day break before going to Miami to start the Eastern Conference Finals. You play for the 1 seed for this reason. Exactly. Right? Like I know there was all this conversation of should they get the 1 seed? Do they avoid Brooklyn? The bracket worked out perfectly for them. And obviously as we knew, Big O, Brooklyn wasn't this scary team that that most people thought. So the Heat are in a really good position now. Rest or not, Brooklyn, Milwaukee are going to be very tough. It's going to be a different animal for the Heat. The Boston's defense and then their perimeter scoring with Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's going to be a grueling long series for the Heat if they face Boston and Milwaukee. We know they're the defending NBA champs. They have Giannis. They have the best player in the series. If Chris Middleton comes back, we know what they could do. It'd be kind of I think it'd be fitting for it to be Heat Bucks because it'd be like the third tiebreaker matchup after the last 2 years.
Yes.
But either way, that's going to be a hell of a series, whether it's Milwaukee or Boston, assuming the Heat take care of business and they win this round.
All right, I'm going to ask you the impossible, and it's completely unfair to ask you this, like it would be to Ira or anybody on the stinking beat, because the Heat is just impossible.
The Kyle Lowry question?
Yeah, dude. So the Kyle Lowry thing, what's your gut tell you that could he probably play in the next game if they really wanted to, or are they just saying, let's not take any chances. We don't really need you in this series. Right. We can get through this series without you. What we need you is healthy for the Eastern Conference Finals. So no matter what, Kyle, I don't think you'll be taking the court in this series. I kind of get that feeling, but you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Spoelstra said after, what day was it? It was Tuesday's practice, that they were not basing that decision based on wins or losses. But I think it's pretty much like kind of human nature. Like if the Heat were down 0-2 right now, I think there'd be a much more better chance that Kyle Lowry would play tomorrow than right now when they're up 2-0.
Right.
I think that's pretty obvious. So, from what I heard at the start of the series, Kyle was getting a lot better. He was close, and he's been pushing to play. I mean, Kyle Lowry, like he was pushing to play in Atlanta after the day after the injury. So you can't really listen to him, but I heard that he was close. Tomorrow is exactly 2 weeks since the injury. Those type of hamstring injuries usually take 2 weeks or so. So I think he could return in Game 3. I think it's possible. I'm sure he'll travel with the team to Philadelphia, with the possibility of playing Games 3 or 4. But I don't know. I mean, that's the variable we don't know. That we don't know what the Heat are thinking on that. Do they want to, since they're up 2-0, do they kind of push it another game? Maybe if they lose Game 3, he comes back in Game 4. If they win Game 3, maybe they just rest them for another week until the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. All I will say is I think he's very close. And then it'll be up to the Heat to kind of decide if what's the bet, if the risk is worth kind of putting him out there at this point in the series when they're up 2-0.
By the way, you can download the Liquor Split app, iOS or Android. That way you can order. Maybe you got a big meeting this afternoon and you're stuck and, oh man, this guy likes some bourbon. I didn't get it. Just pick up that Liquor Split app, order the bourbon. The meeting is saved. Toast is set. The deal is done. You know what I'm saying? You're watching the NBA, the NHL playoffs tonight. You forgot some beer, some wine. Man, Liquor Split app, boom, flat fee of $2.99. $1 goes to solving homelessness in Miami. Flat fee, no hidden fees. All right? So Liquor Split app, iOS or Android. All right. Last question, Anthony. And follow Anthony, by the way, on Twitter at Anthony_Chiang. Have you heard through other sources because he's been quiet throughout all of this. Pat Riley hasn't said a damn thing about winning time. And so it just looks like a show that has screwed up in portraying everybody just for the sake of dramatizing everything. So I'm just wondering, have you heard anything? Has Riley said anything to others that you've heard about this TV show? Because, I mean, Jerry West might be even suing them and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't blame him, because they make him look like a freaking maniac. And there are people out there, Anthony, that believe this is exactly what happened behind the scenes, and they don't pay attention to the small print, that's there in the credits. But go ahead.
I haven't heard anything on that, but I would imagine, just kind of, I don't know Pat Riley, but just kind of understanding who Pat Riley is. I mean, I don't know, super.
Have you watched it, by the way?
I have not watched it, so I will say that. I have not watched it, but from what I've heard, I should watch it. I should watch it. You're right.
You should.
I need to watch it. But I would imagine that anybody involved probably is not very happy with, the kind of creative license that's being used in the show. I would imagine.
I want to now read Jeff Pearlman's book just to see how off was it.
I mean,
Pearlman's an excellent writer.
Yeah. Well, not that I've Pat Riley told me this, but I've heard through other people that Pat Riley did not like that. Pat Riley did not like that Jeff Pearlman book. So I guess that's another sign. Maybe he's not a huge fan of the show.
But he didn't like it because it told truths, or he didn't like it because it wrote myths. I don't know. You know what I mean? Why didn't he like it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good question.
The Kardashians may not like that Ray J now is coming clean about the tape. Maybe this is something over your head. You may not be keeping up with that part of pop culture, but I read lately, this morning, that all that. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those kind of things.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to get his thoughts on it. And I'm sure that'll be a question we ask him whenever we speak to him after the season.
Off season.
If he's watched the show, what he thinks about it.
When we might get something?
Yeah.
Vegas Summer League.
Definitely. And we'll all be out there.
Right. Yes, we'll definitely all be out there, because we'll definitely be the only outlet that's out there electronically, that is.
Yeah.
With our writers out there. So, yes, looking forward to that. So, it might be interesting. All right, what are you working on in the Herald? So, folks can check you out and subscribe, folks. Support Anthony and all the great writers there.
Yeah, along with obviously the important injury news for Joel Embiid and Kyle Lowry for Game 3, that we'll have all the latest information later today on those two. I'm gonna write something this afternoon about just Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero. That combo off the bench. It's kind of been a work in progress. Those are two guys who want the ball, and they kind of have to learn how to play off of each other. And I think we've seen some growth between the two of them and the chemistry kind of improving. And I think that's important. I mean, if Victor Oladipo could be this two-way player who could hit a few threes and then defend one of the best perimeter players on the other end, I mean, that's a huge boost for this Heat team. So I think that's been one of the most impressive things so far this series, just Victor Oladipo's contribution off the bench and him kind of accepting that seventh man role, I guess you could call it. So I'll have something on that later today.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chiang and catch his work there at the Miami Herald. Anthony, enjoy the basketball, my friend. Thank you. We will catch up next week.
Yes, see you next week, Big O.
Got it.
Thank you.
There you go. Don't forget, download the app, iOS or Android, Liquor Split. Boom.
This is the Big O